Hello, my friends. For some of you, what I'm about to talk about is long overdue. For others, it's making a mountain out of a molehill. But after deliberating about this for quite honestly weeks now, as somebody that's covered Tesla for the past almost 10 years on this podcast, I've decided that now is the time to speak up. And I've decided to do this as its own separate mini episode so that if you're not interested in this topic, you can skip it and continue to listen to the regular podcast as it has always been and will continue to be. So, whether anyone likes it or not, and I'll be clear, I definitely do not, Tesla has become quite politicized. And I have very deliberately tried to avoid politics on this podcast because, quite honestly, it seems like, to me, everything has been politicized in modern society. And while some people love that, some people thrive on that, enjoy that, others find it exhausting. So I always wanted Ride the Lightning to be a refuge from that. And I don't want it to sound bigger than it is. It's just but that's how I think about it. And more to the point, I started this podcast almost 10 years ago to talk about cars. That was what I wanted to do, cars that I was super interested in, and a company that was making them and had plans for more cool cars. It was nothing more, nothing less. I didn't have any inkling of ever having this podcast be about politics. And my hope is actually that by the end of this, you'll still feel like that's the case. But at the very least, as I hope you'd agree, I have intentionally kept Ride the Lightning as a politics-free space. I have friends and family members alike on all sides of the political spectrum, and I love them all. But the fact of the matter is, if you talk politics these days, you instantly turn off a chunk of your audience, no matter what you say. On top of that, in my observation, we seem to live in an age of such tribalism that the second that someone says one thing that you don't agree with, you unfollow them and banish them away as the enemy. It just seems tough nowadays to have a respectful dialogue with someone that you don't agree with on every issue. So quite frankly, that's another big reason I've avoided the topic here over the last weeks and months. I'm not looking to push away listeners. Anybody that's doing a podcast probably wants more listeners, not fewer. And look, my personal points of view might align with yours, and they might not. But what I can guarantee is that they absolutely don't align with everyone's because, well, that's impossible. To be honest with you, I actually had a whole essay, not quite as long as this one, but I had a whole thing written that I planned to do this 2 months ago, right after the events of Inauguration Day. But I talked to my wife, I went on a dog walk, I thought about it, and I just decided, you know what? I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to stay out of it. But now I think the time has come to address this because this isn't going away. This is an issue that is directly affecting the Tesla community. And I will say, the thing I wrote 2 months ago, I didn't even look at it when I sat down to write this because I wanted to just write about how I'm feeling right now and not 2 months ago. I'm recording this in the afternoon of Sunday, March 23rd, 2025. I wrote it this morning and I've been sort of tweaking it all afternoon, just going back over and over and over and over again. And so, in terms of your reaction to this, I guess I'm just going to have to trust that my body of work with Ride the Lightning, over 500 episodes over the course of nearly a decade now, has let you get to know me a little bit and the person that I am, such that even if you, by the end of this, you disagree with me, that we can still get along respectfully and that you'll still want to keep listening to the podcast. Of course, if you do, in fact, decide, you say to yourself, forget this guy. I'm not going to listen to this podcast anymore. Well, that's certainly your prerogative. I don't want that to happen, but all I can do is put my best foot forward, and the rest is up to you. And the reason that I just can't stay quiet on this anymore is because despite my very best efforts to keep politics out of my Tesla podcast, politics and Tesla have become very much intertwined. Now, most companies out there intentionally try to stay out of politics in an effort to appeal to as many people as possible, as many potential customers as possible, which I suppose is what I was just saying about myself and Ride the Lightning. If Ride the Lightning is a quote-unquote company in this example, which it's really not, but, I guess I was just kind of doing that. But Tesla has never been like other companies. We all would agree on that, I think. Furthermore, Tesla's CEO has always had an unusually close association with Tesla, far more, I would argue, than CEOs of other big companies. And it's even such that when people think of Elon Musk, I would bet if we surveyed 100 people, 90 of them would think of Tesla first. Say, what's the first company you think of when you hear the name Elon Musk? I think 9 out of 10 people are going to say Tesla, and the other 10 are probably going to say SpaceX. I doubt anybody's going to list boring company Neuralink, XAI first, but that is part of this too, that Elon is so closely associated with Tesla and vice versa that we find ourselves here. Elon's very intentional, very deliberate, very public pivot into politics, which of course is amplified hugely by the social media platform that he now owns, means that everyone knows about his politics, whether you want to or not. He wants you to know. I don't think that can be argued. That, and the other reason that I wanted to record this now, is because it seems like all of you are talking about it too. I've been getting an increasing number of comments and messages talking about this. It has come up on Ride the Lightning monthly Patreon Zoom Hangouts. In fact, just yesterday, I got a message on Instagram, because if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I mostly just post Tesla car pictures. I take my car somewhere, or it's just car pictures. It's not a serious account. I'm not trying to be an influencer or be anything else. I just like sharing pictures of my cars, and occasionally a pizza that I make in my home pizza oven, or something else. So, maybe a dog picture here and there. But it's mostly car pictures. And I got a comment on Instagram just yesterday that said, politely I would add, it was not a rudely toned comment, but the comment said that it seemed like I was sticking my head in the sand on all of this. And certainly when you read that, anyone's first reaction to that would probably be a defensive one as a human being. And mine was too. I was like, oh. But you know what? The more I thought about that person's comment, the more that I had to look inward and take it to heart. And so when I did my patented pull back to the 10,000 foot high view, it is clear that all of this, everything, all the discourse around Tesla is very much a topic in the Tesla community. Even on Patreon, whether you support me or not on Patreon, on comment threads there, on poll comment threads where the topics aren't about politics or the sort of state of how the country and world feels about Tesla right now, it has come up and people are going back and forth in the comments about it. And I'm pleased to say and grateful to say that those discussions have been civil, which I very much appreciate. Now, whether I agree with Elon's politics or not isn't what I'm here to talk about, because some of you do, some of you don't. 4 years ago, the United States voted one way, and this past November, they voted another. But whether you agree with Elon's politics or not, what I am here to talk about is how his politics have come to the Tesla community's doorstep. Elon Musk very publicly gave his full-throated support to one candidate, That candidate won, and now Elon is in the new administration's government in a very public role that is directly affecting a lot of people and their families of all backgrounds and all political affiliations. As a result of his words and actions, weekly protests are now happening at many Tesla stores around the country and in fact around the world, including plenty around here in the San Francisco Bay Area. And to be clear, I have no problem with peaceful protesting. Nobody should. There's nothing wrong with peaceful protesting. It is a constitutional right. But what is wrong is that Tesla stores are getting vandalized and shot up. And I wish I were exaggerating when I say that, but that has literally happened. Cars at Tesla locations are being spray painted or set on fire. Superchargers are being destroyed. And Tesla owners are being shamed with swastika and sell your car placards left on their windshields, or worse than that, things like spray painting or stickers or something else. Tesla owners who have absolutely nothing to do with Elon or his politics are having their cars vandalized. I saw my first personal, actual, real life, because, again, I've said this before, and you probably would all agree with this, online is not the same as real life. If you are just online all the time, you might think the world is one way, and then when you're out in the actual real world, it's generally not that way. I'm not saying that they're complete polar opposites, but things tend to be amplified one way or another online. But I saw my first personal instance of this right here in my own neighborhood. About a week ago, my wife and I were walking the dogs, and we came upon a Cybertruck parked on the side of the street. Using the coat of dust on the truck as their canvas, someone in my own neighborhood, which, by the way, my neighborhood has multiple Teslas on every, and I do mean every block. They have largely replaced the Toyota Priuses, or is that Prii? I'm not sure. I never did know what the right plural for Toyota Prius is, but there are multiple Teslas on every single block. In fact, on my little block, just my little block, there are 5. 2 of them are ours, certainly. Then a guy up the street's got 2. Then there's another Model Y parked on. There's 5. 5 on just my little tiny block in my neighborhood. So there are Teslas all over the neighborhood. And this Cybertruck, it was a little dusty. Someone had taken their finger and written the word Nazi on the driver's door, clearly so that the owner would be sure to see it. So as soon as I saw that, I walked right up to that truck and I wiped it away with my hoodie sleeve. And I didn't do that because I agree with that ideology. I very much do not. Let me be as clear as I possibly can be. Nazis are bad. But because I wiped it away because that's an extremely serious word that should not be thrown around lightly. And it certainly shouldn't be thrown at Tesla owners, because I'm pretty confident in saying that at least 99.9% of Tesla owners are in fact not Nazis. And millions of Tesla owners, because there are now millions of us, did not suddenly and retroactively become fascists because of something the CEO of the company said or did. And this is where we've arrived at. Tesla owners who just wanted a great car are now having to deal with a whole lot of baggage that they didn't sign up for. And that baggage is a direct result of the words and actions of Tesla's CEO. Whether or not his gestures, because there were 2, whether or not his gestures on Inauguration Day were intentional, only he knows. But what matters, or at least what the reality is is that to a whole lot of people, it sure looked like those gestures were intentional. And that, understandably so, is a bridge too far for many people. And we are now seeing the fallout from that. Because Elon has not directly addressed this, the wildfire that he ignited has burned out of control, and it's now affecting us, the Tesla community. I'm sure the folks that don't believe that what he did was a malicious gesture would say something like, well, he didn't do anything, so he doesn't owe anyone an explanation or an apology. And I would respectfully listen to you on that, but I would respectfully say to you, if that is how you feel, that if I did or said something that I didn't intend maliciously, but it in fact still hurt a lot of people, I would offer an apology for any pain that I unintentionally caused. So that's where I'm at with his side of this personally. Again, whether or not I agree with his politics doesn't matter, because we could argue about politics all day. Even setting aside Elon's fiduciary duty to Tesla and its shareholders, my issue is, because the stock price is like a whole other thing, my issue is that Elon has, in my humble opinion, that you may disagree with, in my humble opinion, shown no real concern or introspection about how his words and actions have affected his customers, many of which have now sworn off the brand forever. And that's real damage that's happening to the Tesla brand. Whether or not it proves to be lasting damage remains to be seen. But in the short term, I don't think there's any arguing that Tesla is in a worse place right now than it was even just 6 months ago from a brand and reputation perspective. Not to mention, again, I'm not a financial guy, I've never been, but not to mention a share price perspective as well. We drive incredible cars that make us happy and keep us safe. But now, a growing number of people won't even consider a Tesla, even though, if they actually would, the odds are pretty darn high that they'd love it, and it would be a great fit for them and their family. And that, to me, is a shame. And so, I'm not asking Elon to change his politics. That would be an absurd and a very unrealistic request. What I am asking is for him to take a look, a real look, at how the customers of his fantastic products have been dragged into this, as well as his employees. In other words, I believe that he owes us some consideration in all of this. And I don't think that it's fair to us, quite frankly, where we are now. Meanwhile, the Tesla employees at the store level, specifically, they're on the front lines of this stuff. And I don't think that's fair to them. Dealing with vandals and protesters, it's not in their job descriptions. And I'll say, I'm not trying to sit here and scold the CEO. I'm just trying to raise awareness, bring some attention to this. It's not too late for him to show that consideration. We're all human beings, and we're all learning as we go. I have a tremendous admiration for what Elon Musk has accomplished in his career so far, specifically with Tesla. Obviously, because I'm a car guy, I'm doing a Tesla podcast, and I own 2 Teslas. So Tesla's the one I care about the most. No offense to SpaceX or any of the other ones, but what he and the people that he has led and inspired at the company have achieved is remarkable, and it continues to be so. But I do think that he needs to see this from our perspective as Tesla owners, and I just don't think he's doing that right now. Now, on the other side of the coin, there's something else about what's going on with Tesla right now that I need to be explicitly clear about. Vandalizing other people's personal property is wrong by any and every definition. There's absolutely no justification for it, no place for it, and no excuse for it. I remember saying, I was thinking about this as I was writing this. I remember saying to my wife once, this is a long time ago, but it's certainly stuck in my head. After the one time in our 15 or so year relationship that she saw me get furiously angry, I mean 10 out of 10, full hulking out, raging angry. And it was directed at another person, which I'm not normally like that. That anger that I had, this was about, I guess, 13 some odd years ago, because it was while she was 8 months pregnant. That anger of mine was directed at a dog sitter who I was out of town on a business trip. My wife was home, but she was 8 months pregnant, so she wasn't out walking the dog. So I had hired a dog sitter in my absence who disobeyed my instructions on where to take my dog. This was my first boxer, Maggie, on where to go and where not to go on walks while I'm gone. Where just pretty simple instructions. And what happened was my instructions were ignored. Maggie got walked in the wrong place where there are a bunch of off-leash dogs, even though I specifically said you need to keep Maggie leashed. And Maggie got attacked. She got injured. Her ear was bleeding, and that ear took months. Because dog ears, come on, it's good luck getting those to heal up after, in short order. So she was attacked, she was injured, she was bleeding, she had to go to the emergency vet, again, while my wife is at home, 8 months pregnant. I was literally screaming at this woman over the phone, screaming profanities at her, threatening to sue her, and she eventually paid for all the veterinary expenses and all that stuff, and that moment's long in my past. But I remember I said to my wife afterwards, I said, I try to be a nice guy, and I think if she were here right now, she'd tell you that I'm generally a nice guy most of the time. In fact, pretty much all the time. I mean, life's too short to just be angry, especially at other people. So I try to be a nice guy. But I said to her, this is again years ago, there are 3 things in my life that you don't mess with: my family, my dog, and my car. And I know it sounds ridiculous to lump the car in there, but these are the things that I really super care about in life: my family, my dog, and my car. And that remains true to this day. I will go straight to the red zone if you harm any of those 3 things. That is why I didn't hesitate even for a second to wipe that despicable word off of that Cybertruck parked in my neighborhood, even though it wasn't my car. Normally, I would never touch another person's car. But that Cybertruck owner didn't deserve that, and it was a violation of rule number 3. Don't mess with someone's car. Now, look, I understand why people are angry. I really, really do. But that anger, what I can't understand is how those angry people could possibly be misplacing their anger so much. Tesla owners did not buy a political ideology. They bought the safest cars in the history of the automobile that also happen to be super fun and that are also on a tangible, evolving quest in their own driveways towards autonomy that, when achieved in a driverless way, will meaningfully improve the lives of many people out there who may not medically be able to operate a motor vehicle with manual inputs. So Tesla is a net good. I'll tell you, one of the things that inspired me to finally do this was Dan Neal, the longtime automotive reviewer, the automotive journalist at the Wall Street Journal. He wrote a piece a few days ago, in fact. Let me see if I still have it up on my phone. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, it's, it just went away Dan Neal, the Wall Street Journal. He wrote a piece on why he bought a Tesla, in his words, in spite of Elon. And the short of it is that his argument was that the car is a net good, that the Teslas are a net good. And he also talked about, like, as a car reviewer, he doesn't normally divulge what he personally drives so that it doesn't seem like he's showing any bias, but he felt compelled to write this piece that kind of gave people a peek behind his curtain in terms of, again, what car he personally drives. And it's a Model 3, by the way. And so that was part of the reason that inspired me to do this. And again, it's the Teslas, they are a net good. I mean, that's one reason I feel strongly about continuing to do this podcast like a crazy person every week, 52 weeks a year for the last 10 years. Because I do believe in Tesla, and I do believe in the people working there, and I do believe in the products. And I know that Tesla owners are not the enemy. That's part of why the shaming and the vandalism just pisses me off so much. Odds are at least half of the Tesla owners that are on the wrong end of the shaming and vandalism, and probably more, they're most likely on the same quote-unquote side as the vandals, as the protesters. And not only is what the vandals are doing morally and criminally wrong, it makes those people every bit as bad or worse than they think the people on the other side are. They are attacking people who, by their very nature of their Tesla purchase, probably believe in all of the same sustainability goals that they do. In short, I am of the opinion that Tesla owners are blamelessly caught in the middle of this whole thing, and I would put Tesla employees in there as well, but as I am not a Tesla employee, I do not want to presume to speak for them. But I definitely can speak for myself as a Tesla owner. There is both real physical damage being done to people who don't deserve it, and figurative damage being done to Tesla as a brand. And there's a lot of blame to go around for that. It is not all on one person. I don't like the position I've now been involuntarily forced into as a Tesla owner and a member of the Tesla community. Maybe I speak for some of you with that statement, and maybe I don't. But what I can confidently say that I speak for everyone with that's listening to this, when I say, I love my car, both of them, and I love what this company is doing, and I love the people that work at Tesla because they love this stuff too. Look no further than my recent interviews with Lars Moravy and Franz von Holzhausen. Just listen to it. You can hear it in their voices. They care about leaving the planet better than it was when they got here. I think Lars explicitly said that. They care about making great cars and great products. I've been at this now for over 500 episodes, and I plan to be around for at least 500 more. I mean, hey, I acknowledge maybe this little speech of mine will age poorly. Maybe in a year from now, it'll seem silly that I did this, that I put this out. But right now, at this moment, everything I've just talked about is very real to a lot of people. And I felt like it was past time for me to address it. And again, you might not agree with one, some, or maybe all of the things that I said. But I hope that we can disagree respectfully if that's the case. I can honestly tell you, you could talk to the people in my life. I can honestly tell you that I have lived my life by the saying, treat others how you'd like to be treated. And I know it's a cliche, but I really do believe in it, and it has served me well in my personal and professional life. And so I hope you'll keep it in mind if you choose to respond to me or engage in the comments with others on whatever platform you're hearing this on. As for me, I'm going to get back to talking about these cars that I love and the exciting things that Tesla and other EV companies are doing to build a better future for us all. Thank you for listening, and happy electric motoring.